Hey everybody, Zach Nordike back with you. I am the founder of the Evergreen Mentorship Program, and this is Zero to a Million, where we talk about taking businesses from an idea stage at no revenue all the way up to the first $1 million in annual revenue. It's a really unique part of the business journey. About 96% of individuals who start a business will not reach this marker, and we are trying to share some tips and insights and lived experiences that can make that journey a bit easier, knowing that the percentages of achieving this objective are low. So hopefully I share some things that are insightful. Today's episode is coaching your business team is hard. I know that I know this from lived experience. We want to, I think, a lot as entrepreneurs, hit the goals, hit the targets, get things done. And that is really the right attitude, especially when you're just trying to build traction. But as the business starts to gain momentum, leading in a way that is giving people what to do, not allowing them to think for themselves, being really tasking and micromanaging becomes a real impediment to your business's growth. So we're going to talk about coaching your business is hard. I still have much I'd love to improve on. I'm sure all of you do too. But we are going to discuss the importance of why coaching your team members and fellow folks working on the business with you is so important in kind of task-oriented management with a lot of telling the team what to do is really going to kind of be like dragging an anchor through the sand over time. I know both ways. I know what it's like when you find the right mixture of people that can help you accelerate. And I definitely know what it's like to be nervous about things getting done and getting done right. So both experiences are ones that I'm familiar with. Entrepreneur tip today, practice delegation. Okay. When we think something isn't ready to hand over to somebody else, we should let them know that and try to hand it over anyway and ask them to start to fill in the blanks. I really believe, and I know I'm guilty of this, business owners think we have to have every single thing figured out about a certain system or task that we're giving over before we can entrust it to others. And I think we have to have some playbook for it. Okay. But we really shortchange those in our business when we give them no problem solving, like when we have no confidence in their problem solving, when we have to have everything labeled and perfectly spelled out. Look, life is complex. Situations arise that are going to take on the fly critical thinking. We really need to practice that art of letting go of tasks that others in the business could add more value to because they have more time, they have more insight, or they just have literally more willingness to tackle. So we got to practice delegation. We got to practice becoming good at delegation and handing over tasks with enough insight into what the result needs to be and what the outcome needs to be that those who are working with us feel empowered and have the ability to solve. But we've got to delegate more. Our job as business owners is to get the right people in the right seats. Okay. And probably the second thing is to be our lead salesperson. And it doesn't mean that you're selling widgets or doing something that is not going to grow the business, but we have to have our time for building the critical connections, whether it's partnerships, recruiting great team members, making big sales to large clients. We have to have our time free to find the right people and to find the right partnerships for our businesses to grow. So we got to delegate things that things that maybe others can take on for us and with us to allow that rapid acceleration to focus on the highest value task. That is going to be something really key. I'll take a page out of a recent thing I heard in a talk. What are your high value tasks, right? Find those high value tasks and try to spend the bulk of your time on those. If it isn't a high value task, okay, And that's something that's going to advance your business monetarily, reputation wise. It's just going to allow you to maybe be more relaxed so you can be more present for things that you're really genius with. Try to delegate it. Even if it's not fully baked, try to delegate it. Dan Martell, got to give him credit. Dan Martell wrote Buy Back Your Time. It's a book that I highly recommend. I listen to it all the time on Audible. I will share with you, I don't spend a lot of time reading books, whether it's on an electronic device or tangible copies, but I love Audible. I've been really digging Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time, but one system of management that he describes is this tell, check, next method. Oh, buddy, I am a tell, check, next person, at my soul level, I think. Like, here's what needs to be done. Is it done yet? Here's the next thing we need to do. Okay. While this is probably something we all do when we start a business, right? We're trying to find the right people. We're trying to get results very rapidly. We're trying to grow exponentially. We have to be careful of this method. This is what I'll call traditional management process, right? It's probably in all the kind of classic ways we think of a manager. They give you the task list, they check to see if the task list is done, and then they give you the next thing, right? This form of management is something that we have to be very careful of. And we want to really find people that are capable of handling a management style that is not like this. Telling people what to do, checking to see if they get it done, and giving them the next thing is going to build codependence. They're always going to be meaning whoever is receiving this information or utilize or whoever you're utilizing the style with is going to be dependent on you. They're unlikely going to be able to do anything or very limited amounts without being told what to do. They're going to have a hard time setting their own deadlines if you're always checking on them and giving them a deadline. And they'll have a hard time seeing what's next if they're like, well, we'll just wait for whomever to let us know what we're doing next. Codependence slows things down. It speeds things up short term. It slows things down long term. We have to get past to scale the tell, check, next method. It doesn't matter if you're kind of your lead manager, if you have folks you're working with that you're using this tell, check, next method with, or maybe you have an operations person that helps kind of guide things day to day and they're using tell, check, next. This is only useful to a degree. It is the natural thing to do. I am, like I said, a constant tell, check, next person. I have to check myself, speaking of check, to start being more conscientious not to do this. But it does take really recruiting people from the get-go and letting them know we don't tell check next. And you'll hear about this other style in a moment. Here's our system. You got to find folks that come into your business, and you have to be very conscientious of managing and leading in a way, if you're going to take this other type of style, to give the folks you're working with more independence, more ability to make decisions on their own, and to solve problems that arise through using their own great judgment. Dan Martell has a second framework that I believe is immensely more scalable. And if you're a high energy person and a go-getter, you will like over time, if you're patient enough with this one, that your team is able to perform and use good judgment to a large degree without a lot of outside, hey, did this get done? Where are we at with this? You will help folks tap into their own inner genius, their own intrinsic motivation, and be very focused on getting their assignment done because the assignment done in a high quality way because they bought into this. It's not you telling them what to do. They get what needs to be done. They get what measures need to be used. And they get that if they are contemplating multiple solutions in a coaching session, you or whomever they're reporting to will be able to coach and kind of talk through whatever they've got in mind. Dan's other thought process on managing is show the outcome. Be so clear about, he uses what the mountaintop looks like. And I think that that's a good thing. Where are we going? How will we measure if we're getting closer to where we're going? And let's have, hopefully, a weekly conversation about, hey, what do we need to do to get here together? Or how does it look like if you did X? We want to really talk in a kind of questions first way and help whomever is the person responsible for driving that. Like we as the entrepreneur set the outcome. We want to then give it to the team member with, how do you get to the outcome? If these are the measures, right? What things do you need to do day to day, week to week, month to month in order to make this happen? In our coaching conversations, when that person you're coaching gets stuck, how do you help them through questions unstick themselves? Have you ever thought about this? What would happen if we tried this? You want to be the coach that comes in, not telling them what to do, but asking them the key questions that help them unstick themselves, find different solutions, take a different approach, just think differently, find their own breakthrough. And then for that person to own it and not have to be harped on day in and day out to do it. We need folks on our teams that know what we're expecting, they're knowing how we're measuring it, and they know that they need to come to us with, really defined methods for getting this done, where we can help them if they run into a sticking, a spot where they're stuck, unstick. I'm going to tell you why this is so ridiculously hard. Anybody who wants to do things quick, okay, is going to feel like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what to do right here. I'm going to just tell them, just do this. It's so obvious. I am so guilty of doing this. Try to resist that urge, okay? Yes, it may be clear, but if you always have to point that solution out and the person never kind of grows and identifies that themselves, you'll always be giving solutions. You'll always be telling, whomever you're working with what to do. It is easy for us as entrepreneurs because I think problem solving comes really natural for us to say, boy, that was so obvious. I mean, why don't they get this? I think it's a common frustration, but we really do need to slow down and help reiterate. Remember, this is the outcome we're looking for. This is how we're measuring it. This is how close you are. What do you think are, a few ways this week, give it a time measure, that we're going to get a little closer to this. We're on, we're not quite on metric. What's holding us back? Can we expect that by the end of the week, this can get done? Those are the things that allow the other person to start taking ownership of it. They're agreeing to it. They're sharing with you what needs to get done. You are not telling them, they're telling you. Okay. Really hard to do. But the more you can help that other person and those folks on your team, multiplied across the whole team, build those problem solving muscles, those critical thinking skills, the less you're telling them what to do, the more you're helping them evoke and awaken their own answers, the quicker you can scale. Because you're going to run into some tough problems, especially as the business grows. You can't have your hands in every single thing that's going on. You got to allow people to make decisions. Speaking of empowerment, okay, this is a thought process I heard from a gentleman, Ron Lovett. Okay, he had a decision-making framework that goes something like this. And if I get some parts of it wrong, I think in general, it will make sense. Is this right for your client or customer? Okay, that's obviously a high priority when you're trying to make a decision. Is this right for those that we're serving? Okay, whomever that might be. Does this fit within our values and our mission? Kind of, is it ethical? But for your unique values and what you're trying to do as a business, does it make sense? Your team members have to absolutely have a good pulse for what's good for the clients. They have to know what your mission is, what you're trying to get done as a company. If they're not educated on this, and that is your job, They're not going to be able to easily be able to be empowered and make decisions. And then the third thing is for the person who makes the decision, are they, not you, but are they willing to be held accountable for it? Is this good for the client? Is this essentially good for the business, or does this make sense with our business values? And would I, as the decision maker, be willing to say, yep, if I'm right on this, give me some praise. If I'm wrong on this, give me some direction, give me some better direction for next time. Taking accountability. Empowerment is so key, but you have to really spend a lot of repetitions. The last couple videos we made have really talked a lot about practice. You've got to spend the time to educate. And I say that really strongly because education is a lot about repetition and explaining and re-explaining and giving examples and stories. And, just I think of it similar to building a muscle in your strength training. Can you strength train folks to build up that critical knowledge of your company? This would be good for our the customers we're serving. This is what we're trying to do as an organization. This is why I can make a decision, because I'm confident that if I'm questioned on this, I can explain exactly why I did this, and I'm willing to be held accountable for whatever outcome is generated from this choice. That is huge. If you're always, the bottlenecks at the top of the bottle, if you were always the go-to for every decision, obviously there are some really critical decisions that can make or break the company. You may want to be very involved in those. You may want to be the lead decision maker there. But for day in and day out problems, please work, and it's a work in progress for me, but please work to empower those that you are working with to make decisions on their own, that they feel confident. Yeah, that's great for the folks who are serving, the customers or the clients. Yes, that makes sense for our business values and the vision for the business. Yes, I will take accountability for this. When you start getting that, again, slow beginning, but as time goes on and your team adapts to that type of thinking style, they're going to feel so independent, so juiced up. They're going to make really good decisions for your organization. I say this, but a build up and breakdown is natural. Okay. We wish life was a linear trajectory where it just, we start and watch us take off and, watch us go through the atmosphere. That is not likely to happen, right? We're all going to slip into habits because as an entrepreneur, most of us have a pretty driving mentality. Not everybody. As business operators, results, 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 bottom line, get things done, make sure it happens. Why is this person upset? Solve it yesterday. You're not always going to be perfect with coaching. It is one of those things that sometimes it's like the house is really burning down. You may have to tell somebody what to do. Somebody just isn't getting things repeatedly. Maybe instead of having them come to their own conclusion, I think two things, you share, hey, I really see you're struggling. Let me kind of give you something that I think we can implement. But if that happens too frequently, maybe it's just not a great fit for them. If coaching and having folks that can be responsible for outcomes and make the great decisions is part of what you're trying to build as an organization, maybe they're not a great long-term fit. But it is always going to be a build up. We're going to spend time, hopefully organizing our company, making sure that those who are inside working on the business with us get what our mission is. They get what we're trying to do this year. Maybe they get what we're trying to do in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. If we can educate them on those pieces, if we can do our best to have weekly coaching conversations with those who are more direct reports to us, if we can try to do this, what's likely going to happen is 90% of the time, you're going to be in coach mode, not telling people what to do, but letting them know what the expectation is, how we're going to measure it, and then coaching against that. And 10% of the time, you're going to slip up and just say, hey, where is this? When's this getting done? Tell me right this second why this isn't being finished. We want to just steer more towards the coaching side and less towards that demanding tell check next method. Again, not villainizing it. I spent years trying to tell check next my way to a bigger system, and I think it does work. It's just that it will wear you down as a human being. It will likely wear those down that you are delivering that style to. And as your business gets bigger, you won't have the ability to tell check next um, all the different things you got going on. So build a different style that's more focused on delegation, empowerment, and coaching while you have a shot. Okay. Lesson still in progress for me, but sharing what I've learned so far. It's a constant cycle. I think that we have to be a little bit forgiving to ourselves. I know I tend to be more down and look at things more pessimistically, but it is a constant cycle. If I go back even a year from that, or a year, if I look backwards 1 year, my tell check next, my kind of death grip management style, I've really been able to be more vigilant about empowerment, more vigilant about having team members figure out small things and even bigger things, having them tell me how we're going to do it versus me telling them how we're going to do it. So just be aware. And it's not just the old adage, hey, it's, small steps, eat the elephant one bite at a time. I mean, yes, but just at the end of the day, coaching isn't easy. I think most people who work for organization or with an organization have been, hmm, I don't know, they've been so used to, I guess, from school through other jobs, being told what to do. School teacher tells you what to do. Maybe youth athletics and sports they participated in. Um, maybe their coach didn't have this is what we're trying to, maybe they were a micromanager and it was like, you'll show up here, you'll do this, you'll get this done. Most of us growing up, and for those who've been working, the tell check next system is just, it's everywhere, right? So we're trying to get folks out of that system where they need somebody else to tell them what to do all the time. It's difficult. I mean, that's been kind of drilled into most people's head for a lifetime. So we're trying to find people that have more of a natural independence. Plus, for those who even do have that, it's not a muscle that's been exercised a whole heck of a lot in most people's younger lives and even in their adult lives for that matter. So we're really going against the grain. But the beautiful part is when you have enough people that you've been able to touch in your organization that have that whole outcome measure coaching um, philosophy embedded, it starts to circulate and everybody loves that empowerment because you're not being told what to do all the time. You get to use your own creativity. You get to make things happen and you get the credit because you're making decisions. So empower your team, coach your team, help them find independence. And I think great success will come your way. Talk with you all soon. See you on the next episode.